Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I like to discuss the first major skirmish in Trump's intended global trade war, as after a bit of argy-bargy on both sides, Colombia was forced to cave and agree to Trump's terms in order to avoid heavy tariffs. So what lessons do I think other governments should be learning from this in order to avoid encouraging Trump to think that tariffs are a great way to bully people into getting what he wants? Because Colombia has just made a huge problem for both itself and arguably the rest of the world. Thanks for that. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button so you stay notified. So it's been an interesting first day of the Trump tariff wars. He was demanding to land planes full of Colombian nationals in the country, whether the government there liked it or not. Now, it's quite hard to get verifiable details on the rights and wrongs here. However, it seems to me that the people being returned to Colombia had no legal right to be in the USA, so deporting them was all fine and legal. The Colombian government didn't seem to have an issue with that. I think the row erupted in the way they were being deported. The Colombian president took exception to the use of military planes and barred them from landing in the country, as far as I can tell. This triggered an immediate reaction from Trump, who prepared instant 25% tariffs on Colombian imports, with the threat of increasing them to 50% a week later if the situation wasn't resolved. Initially, the Colombian government thought it could fight back, threatened to match the tariffs on US goods. Literally a few hours later, though, they backed down and agreed to accept Trump's terms. Now, for my money, the Colombian government had a genuine grievance in that they objected to the use of military aircraft rather than commercial planes, which is much more usual, and also claimed that the migrants had been treated poorly as well. So if that's true, there's a sense in which he's just looking out for the interests of his people. It seems likely to me that Trump ordered the use of military aircraft, not because it was necessary or because it was efficient, but because he wants to look tough. And now, because Colombia has backed down, he is able to say that his tactics of using excessive tariffs to get what he wants works. In fact, he may well have just used the military aircraft specifically to try and start a row. He's validated it as a strategy. In fact, according to the BBC, the White House responded with this statement: "Today's events make clear to the world that America is respected again." So this has played completely into Trump's hands. It's a sobering lesson in how to pick your battles. Whether you are a parent or a teacher dealing with a petulant child, or a president dealing with a petulant man baby, you have to pick your battles. You need to know how strong your hand is and be able to carry out basic risk-reward calculations. The Colombian president, who sure absolutely had reason to be upset with the US about the way they were returning their own citizens, nonetheless went to a gunfight with a pea shooter. Trump will now think that his use of tariffs is an easy way to extort his way around the world. The fact that the win was so quick as well, it was all over comfortably inside a few hours, means that he will be keen to employ the same tactics much more widely. And there will be times when it backfires on him. The thing is that Colombia now just has to accept that its citizens in America, without the right documentation, run the risk of being treated without dignity as they're returned. They will just have to advise their citizens to make sure they do not find themselves in the United States without, say, the proper visa. But other than that, giving in to Trump comes at no great cost to the country. Perhaps a political cost to President Petro because he's just humiliated himself and his country. But bruised egos aside, there aren't any sort of economic costs, shall we say. Could have been worse, but it might mean that Trump can use the same tariff bullying to try to extort things which are much more valuable for the intended victim. See, right now it seems that Trump is mostly using his threats in order to get other countries in North and South America to cooperate with his immigration policies. His interests around the rest of the world are going to be related to other matters, more costly matters. For Europe, for example, his focus will be trade and NATO contributions, which means he may threaten heavy tariffs. I mean, at the moment, we were thinking, we're going to get away with, can we dodge the tariffs altogether? Or is it going to be 10% or 20%? If he thinks 50% is the way to get what you want, he may threaten that and apply it if various countries don't give him what he wants in terms of higher defence spending or better market access. And with Trump not necessarily having to care about another election again, does he really care if it backfires, if he puts hideous tariffs on a country and they have to take them because actually what he's asking for costs even more and maybe even retaliate, and actually that causes, high inflation in America and all the rest of it. Does he care? This runs the risk of Trump demanding more than the cost of tariffs he's threatening to impose. If Trump lets this win go to his head, might encourage him to trigger much bigger trade wars than he was planning, which will hurt everyone. It hurts the US economy most of all. But is Trump aware that he hasn't actually won anything today? Not tangible. He's won some adulation from his supporters. I mean, that's, from his point of view, I suppose, worth it. But, what did he get? What did America get? He got to deport Colombian migrants on military planes because he was already able to deport them. There wasn't an issue there. He just now gets to deport them on military planes. But that's more expensive and doesn't actually help him deal with what he sees as the problems with immigration. All he's won is positive headlines for his supporters. That's it. Nothing tangible. But this is a lesson for governments that Trump is prepared to go over the top with his threats. 50% tariffs on Colombian imports, after a week. That would mean what? So inflation on US fuel and coffee. And for what? So that Trump could use more expensive modes of transport to deport people. If this had backfired on Trump, if Colombia had have been able to withstand his tariffs, if it had been more strategic, if it had have had the strength to go, no, we're just going to retaliate and we can take it. If that had been the case, this would have looked very bad for Trump. Because for what? They weren't stopping him returning them. That wasn't an issue. They just wanted them to do it with some dignity. And in return, he would find, or specifically those people who believed him about lower fuel and grocery costs, would find that the cost of some groceries and fuel would have gone up. All Trump would have achieved is higher price of gas and the thing which is the thing that sunk Harris partly. And American businesses, of course, facing mirrored tariffs when trying to export to Colombia. When Trump comes calling to other countries, probably on the same continent first, before he turns his attention to the rest of the world, they need to know the strength of their defences before they act. Because if there's one thing worse than just caving, which no one wants to do, no one wants to, give anything to Trump. But if there's something worse than that, it's telling Trump to piss off and then being forced to cave anyway. So to those people who've posted comments, for example, on my other Trump-related videos, Keir Starmer, for example, I've said it of others, Keir Starmer should just tell Trump to do one. This is what happens when you do that, thinking you're in a stronger position than you really are. It doesn't mean we just give him what he demands. We can't do that either. But it is why you have to treat him seriously. Those who don't are likely to get run over. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.